Hello dear learners, I'm Damandeep Kaur, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Education at the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Every teacher wants to teach impressively. It is only possible if teacher has acquired the desired sets of teaching skills. Under the teachers training program, teacher trainees are trained to achieve these desired skills of teaching a subject. So in this module, I'll be discussing about skills of teaching commerce. Now let's know the learning outcomes of this module. Learners will be able to know the historical background of micro teaching. They will be able to understand the meaning of micro teaching, and list the features and components of micro teaching. Analyze the different stages of micro teaching skill and know the different skills of teaching commerce. Let's know about the historical background of micro-teaching. Micro-teaching technique was first adopted at Stanford University, USA in 1961. D.W. Allen of Stanford University coined the term micro-teaching. Keith Atchison recommended the use of videotape recorder to provide the feedback to the teacher trainees. USA, UK and Netherlands did pioneering work in micro-teaching. In India, micro-teaching was introduced in 1967. Okay, now let's know the meaning of micro-teaching. Micro-teaching is a training technique that scales down the complexities of real teaching. It involves teaching a small portion of the lesson to a group of 5 to 10 students in a short duration. Now let's discuss some of the definitions given by the great educationist. According to D.W. Allen, micro-teaching is a scaled-down teaching encounter in class size and time. In the words of Allen and Eve, micro-teaching is defined as a system of controlled practice that makes it possible to concentrate on specific teaching behavior and to practice teaching under controlled conditions. According to R.N. Bush, micro-teaching is a teacher education technique which allows the teachers to apply clearly defined teaching skills to carefully prepared lessons in a planned series of 5 to 10 minutes to encounter with real students, often with an opportunity to observe the result on videotape. On the basis of these definitions, we have understood that micro-teaching is a teaching technique practiced by a teacher trainee. The teaching is done in a controlled situation. It means that a teacher trainee or pupil teacher teaches a small concept to a small group of students in a short duration. Further, micro-teaching can also be recorded. Teacher trainee can also observe his or her own recorded performance. Now let's know the features of micro-teaching. It is based on small topic from a lesson. The duration of teaching is 5 to 10 minutes. It involves lesser number of students, usually 5 to 10. One skill is planned and practiced at a time. Feedback is provided to the pupil teacher by the teacher trainer and the students. Now let's know what are the essential components required for a micro-teaching skill. So these are the components which should be present in the simulated classroom conditions. Pupil, teacher or teacher trainee, peer group or students, observer or teacher trainer, device for recording and feedback system. Now, pupil teacher or teacher trainee will teach the topic in the class. Peer group or students will be the learners in the class. Observer or teacher trainer will observe the class. Device for recording, a smartphone and video recorder can be used for recording the teaching of a pupil teacher. Feedback will be given by the peer group students and feedback will also be given by the observer. Okay, so the peer group who is observing the pupil teacher will be giving the feedback, okay, to the pupil teacher, and the observer or the teacher trainer who is present will also give the feedback to the pupil teacher. Now let's discuss in detail the stages of micro-teaching cycle. The first stage is to plan, then second, teach, then feedback, then replan, reteach and re-feedback. So we'll be discussing in details all these stages. The first stage of micro-teaching cycle is plan. The micro-teaching cycle begins with a plan. Now, who will make this plan? A pupil teacher will make a micro-teaching plan to practice a particular skill. It will answer these following questions: what to teach and how much to teach. In this, a pupil teacher decides the subject, the topic, and the resource material to be referred to prepare that particular topic. For example, to practice skill of introduction, a pupil teacher decides the subject as business studies. She can take the topic as communication. She can refer to these resource materials, NCERT books and some other e-resources. Now let's know what will happen in the stage teach. Pupil-teacher practices the skill in the simulated classroom conditions. It involves teaching a decided topic for practicing a particular skill. Feedback is really relevant. Feedback should cover the two important aspects of the teaching performance: strengths and weaknesses. For example, in the case of strengths, a pupil teacher should be praised for the clarity in the voice and level of confidence. In the case of weaknesses, drawbacks of the plan and the presentation should be highlighted in a lucid manner, like lack of fluency and lack of continuity. Always remember, feedback should begin with the positive comments, and then areas of improvement should be discussed with the pupil teacher. Now let's know what will happen in the replan stage. Replanning is based on the feedback received. Necessary changes are made in the previous plan. Pupil teacher focuses on the areas of improvement, then replan the same topic. Recording of teaching can also be utilized for improving the plan. Reteach. Pupil teacher reteaches the same topic to the same group of students. This is done to acquire the desired level of proficiency in the skill. After reteaching, there will be a re-feedback. So, feedback is provided again by the teacher trainer and the peer group to the pupil teacher. It follows the same procedure as discussed in the feedback stage earlier.